The morning sun cast long shadows across the excavation site on Jeju Island. Park Soo-jin wiped sweat from her forehead as she studied the strange metallic surface they had uncovered. 3 weeks of digging through ancient volcanic rock had revealed something that should not exist. The metal was smooth, unmarked by time, and gave off a faint warmth that made no sense. This cannot be natural, Soo-jin muttered to herself. She had been an archaeologist for 15 years, but nothing in her experience prepared her for this discovery. The metal surface stretched 20 meters in each direction, suggesting something massive buried beneath. Her team worked carefully, around the edges, brushing away centuries of dirt and stone. Dr. Choi Hye-rim, the xenoarchaeologist, moved between the workers with excitement barely contained in her voice. "The composition is unlike anything on Earth," she said, holding up her scanner. "The metal contains elements that should not be stable. Yet here it is, perfect after all this time." Lee Tae-woo stood at the edge of the site, his military uniform crisp despite the heat. He spoke into his radio with concern in his voice. "Base, we need the engineering team here immediately. This is beyond our expertise." He had seen enough strange things in his career to know when something was dangerous. The call went out across the island to the Terran Colonial Engineering Corps station. Kim Dae-ho was working on a broken transport engine when the emergency request came through. He was a simple mechanic, good with his hands and better with machines than with people. The request mentioned unusual technology that needed immediate assessment. Dae-ho packed his tools and took the short flight to the excavation site. From the air, he could see the dig site looked like a wound in the earth. Workers moved around something that gleamed in the sunlight. As the transport landed, he felt an odd sensation, like a tuning fork vibrating in his chest. "You must be the engineer," Soo-jin said as Dae-ho stepped off the transport. "I am Park Soo-jin, the lead archaeologist. We found something that defies explanation." Dae-ho followed her to the edge of the dig site. When he saw the metallic surface, his breath caught. The metal seemed to pulse with life, though his instruments showed no energy readings. "How long has this been here?" he asked. "Our carbon dating suggests the volcanic layer above it is over 800 years old," Hye-rim said, joining them. "But the metal shows no signs of age or corrosion. It is as if time has no effect on it." Dae-ho knelt at the edge of the excavation and pulled out his scanner. The readings made no sense. The metal registered as room temperature, yet it felt warm to approach. His scanner detected trace electromagnetic fields, but nothing that should cause the sensation he felt in his chest. "Has anyone touched it?" Dae-ho asked. Tae-woo stepped forward. "No direct contact. My orders are to secure the site until we understand what we are dealing with. For all we know, this could be some kind of weapon." Dae-ho nodded but felt drawn to move closer. Each step toward the metal surface made the vibration in his chest stronger. It was not unpleasant, more like recognition than alarm. "I need to get closer to run proper diagnostics," he said. "Absolutely not," Tae-woo replied. "We follow safety protocols. No direct approach until we know more." But Dae-ho was already walking down the carefully constructed ramp into the excavation. The workers stopped their careful brushing to watch him. With each step, the metal seemed to grow brighter, though his instruments showed no change in light levels. "Dae-ho, please be careful," Soo-jin called from above. She had seen enough archaeological sites to know when something felt wrong. This felt different. This felt alive. When Dae-ho reached the bottom of the excavation, he was standing directly on the metal surface. It felt solid under his feet, but warm like living skin. He knelt and placed his palm flat against the smooth surface. The vibration in his chest became a harmony that seemed to resonate through his bones. The change was immediate and impossible to ignore. Lines of soft blue light began tracing patterns across the metal surface, spreading outward from where Dae-ho's hand touched. The patterns were complex, beautiful, and clearly artificial. They pulsed with a rhythm that matched his heartbeat. "What did you do?" Tae-woo shouted from above, his hand moving to his weapon. "Nothing," Dae-ho replied, but he could not lift his hand from the surface. The metal felt like it was drawing something from him, or sharing something with him. The blue line spread faster now, covering the entire visible surface and continuing beyond the edges of the excavation. High Rim was frantically taking readings. "Massive energy spike," she called out. "But it is not dangerous radiation. It is something else, something organized." The ground began to vibrate, not with earthquake tremors but with purpose. Dust fell from the walls of the excavation as something vast stirred beneath them. Daeho felt a presence touching his mind, ancient and patient and immensely relieved. Sujin backed away from the edge as the vibrations grew stronger. "Everyone get back from the excavation," she ordered, but her voice was filled with wonder, rather than fear. The blue light was beautiful, casting dancing shadows across the dig site. The metal surface beneath Daeho began to rise, lifting him gently upward. What they had thought was a buried structure was moving, revealing itself to be the top of something much larger. The volcanic rock around the edges cracked and fell away as more of the metal surface emerged. Workers ran for safety as the shape of an enormous vessel became clear. It rose slowly from the earth like a sleeping giant awakening after centuries of rest. The blue lines of light covered its entire surface, pulsing with increasing intensity. Daeho found himself standing on the top of what was clearly a spacecraft, ancient beyond measure but perfectly preserved. The presence in his mind grew stronger, and with it came understanding. This ship had been waiting for someone like him, waiting for a human with the right touch, the right mind, the right spark of creativity that could wake it from its long sleep. As the ship settled into its new position, half emerged from the earth, the blue light began to fade to a gentle glow. In the sudden quiet, a voice spoke. It came from everywhere and nowhere, speaking perfect Korean with an accent. "That sounded like music, engineer," the voice said, and Daeho felt tears on his cheeks without knowing why. "You have finally come." The silence after the voice spoke lasted only seconds, but it felt like hours. Daeho stood on the surface of the alien ship, his hand still pressed against the warm metal. Everyone at the dig site stared at him, waiting for something terrible to happen. Instead, he felt more at peace than he had in years. "Did everyone hear that?" Sujin asked, her voice barely a whisper. Taewoo had his weapon drawn but seemed unsure what to point it at. The voice spoke Korean. Perfect Korean. "How is that possible?" The ship's surface beneath Daeho began to change. A section of the metal flowed like liquid, forming a depression that perfectly fit his body. Without fear, he sat down in the newly formed seat. The moment he settled into place, the blue lines of light returned, brighter than before. "Please do not be afraid," the voice said again. It seemed to come from the air around them, rather than from any speaker. "I am Kaelvin, guardian of this vessel. I have been waiting for you for 847 of your years." Hyarim stepped closer to the edge of the excavation, her scientific curiosity overcoming her caution. "Guardian? Are you the pilot of this ship?" "I am what you might call an artificial intelligence," Kelvin replied. "But I am also much more. I am the memory and spirit of my people, the Theron Collective. We were explorers, scientists and builders. We traveled the galaxy seeking knowledge and friendship." Daeho found that he could understand more than just the words. Somehow, sitting in the ship's embrace, he could feel the truth behind them. Images flashed through his mind. Vast cities floating in space, beings of grace and wisdom, ships like living creatures sailing between the stars. "Where are your people now?" Sujin asked. As an archaeologist, she understood the weight of lost civilizations. The pause before Kaelvin answered told them everything. "Gone. Destroyed by an empire that values conquest over creation. But we knew this day would come. We prepared for it." Taewoo lowered his weapon but kept it ready. "Prepared how? And why did your ship wake up for our engineer?" The metal beneath Daeho grew warmer, and he felt a strange sensation, as if the ship was examining him from the inside out. It was not invasive or uncomfortable. It felt like being truly understood for the first time in his life. "Your species is remarkable," Kelvin said. "You possess something we called the spark. It is a quality of mind that allows true fusion between consciousness and technology. Most species must choose between organic life and artificial enhancement. Humans can have both. HFY pulled out her recording equipment. This was the discovery of the millennium, and she would document every word. Why did you come to Earth? How long have you been watching us? We did not come to watch, Kelvin explained. We came to plant seeds. Your species was young when we arrived, still learning to work metal and grow crops. We saw the potential in your minds and knew that one day you would be ready. The ship began to change around them. Sections of the hull became transparent, revealing a vast interior filled with strange and beautiful machinery. Gardens of alien plants grew under artificial light. Streams of energy flowed through crystalline conduits like rivers of liquid starlight. Ready? For what? Taewoo demanded. His military training made him suspicious of any superior force that claimed to be helpful. To carry on our work, Kelvin said. To explore the galaxy and protect those who cannot protect themselves. To stand against the darkness that destroyed my people. Daeho felt the ship's systems responding to his thoughts. Without conscious effort, he accessed the vessel's memory banks. Information flooded his mind. Star charts, technological specifications, the history of galactic civilization. It was overwhelming but also exhilarating. The Kalorth Empire, he said, the words coming from knowledge he had not possessed moments before. They destroyed your homeworld. Yes, Kelvin confirmed. They consume entire civilizations, stripping them of resources and life force. They are coming here to Earth. Our long-range sensors detected their scout ships entering your solar system 6 months ago. The peaceful mood at the dig site evaporated instantly. Taewoo was already reaching for his radio. I need to contact Earth Defense Command immediately. Wait, Sujin said. How long do we have? Daeho closed his eyes and let the ship's knowledge flow through him. Their main fleet is still distant, but advanced scouts are already studying our defenses. They will attack when they are certain of victory. The ship's interior lights grew brighter, and new sections became visible. Weapon systems that looked like works of art, shields that bent space itself, engines that could fold reality and step between stars. All of it responsive to human thought, waiting for human creativity to guide it. This is why you waited for us, HFY said with growing understanding. You need us to operate your technology. More than operate, Kelvin corrected. Our technology requires living consciousness to reach its full potential. It must be guided by intuition, creativity, and the spark of life that artificial minds cannot replicate. Engineer Daeho possesses these qualities in abundance. Daeho opened his eyes and looked at his colleagues. He could feel the ship's vast power at his fingertips, but also the weight of responsibility it represented. I can feel what this ship can do. It is incredible, but it is also just one vessel. How can one ship stand against an empire? It cannot, Kelvin admitted. But it can teach. Every human who bonds with our technology becomes a bridge between species. Your people learn our science, and we learn your innovation. Together, we become something new, something the Kalorth cannot understand or defeat. The implications hit them all at once. Sujin saw the archaeological treasure trove of alien knowledge. HFY recognized the opportunity for true interspecies cooperation. Taewoo calculated the military advantages and disadvantages of alien alliance. There are other ships, Taewoo asked, scattered across the galaxy, waiting for the right moment and the right people, Kelvin confirmed. Some sleep beneath the surface of worlds we visited. Others drift in the void between stars. All of them will wake when they sense that the time has come. Daeho stood up from the organic seat, feeling the ship's reluctance to let him go. How much time do we have to prepare? Days, not weeks, Kelvin replied. The Kalorth scouts have been observing your military capabilities. They are nearly ready to call for the invasion fleet. As if responding to their urgency, the ship began to rise further from the Earth. More of its hull emerged, revealing its true size. It was enormous, easily the size of a city block, but it moved with the grace of a living creature. Then we need to move fast, Taewoo said, his radio already in his hand. I am calling this in to Earth Defense Command. They need to know what is coming. Sujin looked up at the ship with wonder and fear in equal measure. The world is about to change forever. Daeho placed his hand on the ship's hull one more time, feeling the vast intelligence within welcoming him home. Then we better make sure it changes for the better. 3 days after first contact, the excavation site had become a military command center. Earth Defense Command had sent their best scientists, engineers, and strategists to understand what they were dealing with. The alien ship now rested completely, above ground, its hull gleaming like a jewel in the afternoon sun. Daeho had barely slept since the ship awakened. Every time he touched its surface, new knowledge flowed into his mind. Ship systems, stellar navigation, energy manipulation techniques that human science was centuries away from discovering. The learning process was exhausting, but addictive. Your brain patterns are changing, Dr. Yoon Minho said, studying the medical readings. He was Earth's leading expert on human-machine interfaces, flown in specifically to monitor Daeho's condition. The ship is not just teaching you, it is adapting your neural pathways to handle information in new ways. Daeho sat in the medical tent, electrodes attached to his skull. He could feel the ship calling to him from outside, its presence like a warm hand on his shoulder. I am still me, he said. I just understand more now. That is what worries me, Dr. Yoon replied. Human brains are not designed to process this kind of information load. We need to know if this symbiosis is safe for long-term exposure. Through the tent walls, Daeho could hear the voices of Earth's military leaders arguing with the scientists. Some wanted to study the ship for months before risking it in combat. Others insisted they needed to act immediately, before the alien invasion arrived. Sujin entered the tent carrying a tablet full of data. The ship has been scanning our global communications networks, she reported. Kylvin is learning about human civilization at an incredible rate. It wants to understand who we are before it trusts us with advanced weapons. And what has it learned? Dr. Yoon asked. That we are contradictory, Sujin said with a slight smile. We create beautiful art and terrible weapons. We can be incredibly generous or completely selfish. Kylvin finds us fascinating but unpredictable. Daeho removed the monitoring electrodes and stood up. The ship is not judging us. It is trying to understand how we think so it can work with us better. Thurin technology responds to emotion and intuition as much as logic. He walked outside into the controlled chaos of the command center. Taewoo was coordinating with orbital defense platforms while Hiram cataloged the flood of alien knowledge being shared by the ship. Everyone worked with the urgency of people who knew their world was about to be tested. Daeho. Kelvin's voice spoke directly into his mind now. A private communication that no one else could hear. We need to talk. Daeho approached the ship, and a section of hull flowed open to create an entrance. Inside, the ship had grown a small chamber specifically for human comfort, with air that smelled of spring rain and lighting that felt like filtered sunlight. The Kalorth scouts have finished their assessment, Kelvin said. They are transmitting their findings to the invasion fleet. We have perhaps 36 hours before the first attack. 36 hours? Daeho felt his heart rate spike. That is not enough time. Earth's defenses are not ready. Earth's defenses cannot stop the Kalorth, Kelvin said gently. Their technology is far superior to yours. Only by working together can we hope to protect your world. The ship's interior began to change around them. Walls became transparent, revealing the true scope of the vessel's capabilities. Weapon systems that could punch holes through moons, shields that could deflect the power of stars, engines that could outrun light itself. I can feel how powerful this ship is, Daeho said, but I do not know how to use it. I am just a mechanic. You are much more than that, Kylvin replied. Your mind sees connections that others miss. Your hands can fix what others consider broken. These are the qualities that make human consciousness so valuable. To demonstrate, Kylvin guided Daeho to a control interface that looked like crystalline water. When he placed his hands on it, the ship's sensors extended throughout the solar system. He could see Earth's orbital defenses, pitifully small against the vastness of space. He could detect the Calorth scout ships, sleek and predatory, hiding in the asteroid belt. "There are 12 of them," Deho said, the knowledge flowing through the ship's sensors. "Fast attack vessels testing our response times." "Yes," Calvin confirmed, "and behind them, moving at just below light speed, comes their fleet. 47 capital ships and 300 support vessels." The numbers were staggering. Earth's entire space navy consisted of maybe 24 combat-ready ships. "We cannot win this fight," Deho said. "Not by fighting their way," Calvin agreed. "But humans do not think like other species. You improvise, you adapt, you find solutions that no one else would consider. This is why my people chose you." Outside the ship, alarms began sounding. Taewoo's voice echoed across the command center. "Incoming transmission from the outer system. The Calorth are hailing us." Deho rushed outside, still connected to the ship's consciousness. Through its sensors, he could perceive the transmission before Earth's equipment even processed it. The voice was cold, mechanical, devoid of any warmth or emotion. "Primitive species of the third planet," the Calorth transmission began. "Your world contains resources we require. Surrender now, and some of your population will be permitted to survive as labor force, resist, and face complete extinction." The message cut off, leaving Earth's leaders staring at each other in shock. General Kim Han-sol, Earth's top military commander, was the first to speak. "How long do we have?" 8 hours, Taewoo replied, reading from his instruments. "That is, when their main fleet arrives. 8 hours?" General Kim turned to look at the alien ship. "Can your vessel stand against their entire fleet?" Deho felt Calvin's presence in his mind, calm but determined. "Not alone," he said. "But we do not have to fight alone." He placed his hand on the ship's hull, and its communications array extended across the galaxy. Suddenly, space around Earth lit up with new contacts. Ships that had been sleeping for centuries began awakening. Some emerged from the ocean floors of distant worlds. Others powered up in the dark spaces between stars. "Theran vessels across the galaxy are responding to our signal," Deho announced. "They are coming, but they will not arrive in time for the first wave." Hiram was staring at her instruments in amazement. "I am detecting power signatures all over Earth. There are other Theran artifacts here waking up in response to your ship. Ancient supply caches and communication relays," Calvin explained through Deho. "We have been preparing for this day for almost 1,000 years." General Kim stepped forward. "What do you need from us?" Deho looked around at the assembled humans, soldiers, scientists, archaeologists, engineers. Each had skills that could complement Theran technology in ways the original builders never imagined. "Trust," he said. "The ship can enhance human capabilities, but it needs willing partners. Pilots who can think faster than computers. Engineers who can repair damage in the middle of battle. Strategists who can see patterns that artificial intelligence misses." "And if we cannot stop them?" Sujin asked. Deho felt the ship's vast databases opening to him, showing him techniques for evacuation, planetary shielding, and stellar engineering. "Then we make sure humanity survives to fight another day. But I do not think it will come to that." As if responding to his confidence, the ship's hull began to glow with soft blue light. Other awakening Theran devices around the world pulsed in harmony, creating a network of alien technology guided by human creativity. "The Calorth expect to find a primitive species with crude weapons," Deho said, his voice carrying new authority. "Instead, they will find something they have never encountered before. Humans and aliens working as one." The countdown to invasion had begun, but Earth was no longer defenseless. The Calorth advance scouts struck just after midnight, when Earth's orbital defenses were rotating shifts. Their attack came without warning, plasma beams cutting through the darkness of space like silver lightning. 3 defense platforms died in the first 10 seconds. Deho was inside the Theran ship when the attack began. His consciousness merged with its system so completely that he felt each human death like a physical blow. The ship responded to his anguish by powering up weapons that had slept for centuries. "Movement," he announced through the ship's communication system. "I am taking us into space." General Kim's voice crackled over the radio from the command center. "Negative. We need more time to coordinate with our fleet." "There is no more time," Daho replied. Around him, the ship's interior reconfigured itself for combat. Crystalline interfaces bloomed like flowers, each one designed to channel human intuition into alien technology. "The scouts are testing our response time. If we do not act now, they will call in the main fleet early." The ship lifted from the ground with impossible grace, its hull singing as it transitioned from atmospheric to spaceflight. Through its sensors, Dai-Ho could see the Kalorth Raiders, 12 sleek vessels moving like sharks through Earth's orbital space. "Calvin," he said aloud, "I need to understand their capabilities." "The Kalorth use predictable tactics," the AI replied. "Overwhelming firepower applied with mathematical precision. They do not adapt well to unexpected responses." Perfect, Daho thought. Humans specialized in unexpected responses. The first Kalorth ship to engage them fired a concentrated plasma burst that would have vaporized any Earth vessel. Instead, the Theron ship's shields bent space around the attack, causing the plasma to curve harmlessly into empty void. "Impossible," came a mechanical voice over the communication channel. The Kalorth were clearly confused by the defensive technology. Daho smiled and reached out through the ship's weapons. Instead of returning fire immediately, he did something the Kalorth would never expect. He began to sing. His voice, amplified through the ship's systems, carried a simple melody he remembered from childhood. The song resonated through the Theron ship's crystalline structure, creating harmonics that interfered with Kalorth targeting systems. "What are you doing?" General Kim's voice demanded over the radio. "Confusing them," Daho replied, still singing. On his displays, he could see the Kalorth ship struggling to lock onto his position. Their sensors were designed to track conventional engine signatures and energy patterns, not organic harmonics woven through alien technology. The first return shot took the lead Kalorth vessel completely by surprise. The Theron ship's weapon was not a beam or projectile, but a focused disruption field that unraveled molecular bonds. The enemy ship simply came apart like a puzzle falling to pieces. 11 left, Daho announced, but his celebration was short-lived. The remaining Kalorth ships adapted quickly, spreading out in a formation designed to overwhelm point defenses. Through the ship's extended senses, Daho felt Earth's fleet moving to join the battle. Admiral Lee So-Young commanded the orbital defense forces with 30 years of experience, but her ships were outgunned and outnumbered. "Admiral," Daho called over the communication channel, "I need you to do something that goes against all military training." "What do you need, engineer?" Admiral Lee replied. Her voice was steady despite watching alien weapons tear through her defenses. "Follow my lead, even when it makes no sense. Trust human instinct over tactical doctrine." "You have my word." What followed was unlike any space battle in human history. Daho used the Theron ship not as a conventional warship, but as a conductor's baton, orchestrating Earth's forces in patterns that defied military logic. When Kalorth ships moved to surround isolated human vessels, Daho had the fleet scatter in random directions. When the aliens tried to concentrate their fire, he led Earth ships in spiraling dances that turned their numerical advantage into confusion. "Their formation is collapsing," Admiral Lee reported with amazement in her voice. "The Kalorth ships are firing on each other. They cannot adapt to chaos," Daho explained, guiding the Theron ship through impossible maneuvers. "Their artificial intelligence is too logical. It assumes all opponents will act rationally." The tide of battle turned when Daho stopped thinking like an engineer and started thinking like an artist. He used the ship's gravity manipulation not to create weapons, but to paint invisible sculptures in space. Kalorth ships, trying to follow logical attack patterns, found themselves trapped in gravitational eddies that sent them spinning into each other. By the time the last scout ship was disabled, Earth's defenders had lost only 2 vessels while destroying or capturing all 12 Kalorth raiders. It was an impossible victory, achieved through the marriage of human creativity and alien technology. "Well done," Kelvin said as the ship's combat systems powered down. "You fought like a Theron, but with purely human innovation. My people would be proud." Deho slumped in the organic control seat, exhausted by the neural demands of battle. "How long before their main fleet arrives?" 4 hours, Kelvin replied. "But now we have prisoners to interrogate and captured technology to study. Your victory has given us valuable intelligence." Back on Earth, the command center erupted in celebration. Sujin was documenting the battle footage, realizing she had witnessed the birth of a new kind of warfare. Hiram was already analyzing data from the Kalorth ships, learning about the empire that threatened them. Taewoo was more cautious. 12 scouts are nothing compared to their main fleet. Can we really stand against hundreds of their ships? Not alone, Deho admitted as the ship descended toward Earth's atmosphere. But the battle sent a signal across the galaxy. Other awakening Theron vessels detected our victory. Help is coming. As if to confirm his words, space around Earth began to fill with new contacts. Ships that had been sleeping in distant star systems were arriving through methods that bent space and time. Not many, but enough to even the odds. The Kalorth made a mistake. Deho continued, feeling the growing network of consciousness that connected human minds to Theron technology. They thought they were attacking a primitive world. Instead, they woke up something that has been sleeping for centuries. Admiral Lee's voice crackled over the communication system. "Engineer, we are receiving a transmission from the main Kalorth fleet. They want to negotiate." "Negotiate?" General Kim sounded surprised. "I thought they only demanded surrender." Deho closed his eyes and extended his awareness through the ship's sensors. He could feel the alien minds in the approaching fleet, cold and calculating, but now uncertain. Their scouts had been defeated not by superior technology, but by something they could not understand or predict. They are afraid, he realized. For the first time in centuries, the Kalorth have encountered something that confuses them. They do not know how to fight an enemy that does not follow their rules. "So what do we tell them?" Admiral Lee asked. Deho smiled as he felt the ship's weapons powering up again, ready for the larger battle to come. Around Earth, human vessels were taking on Theron upgrades, their crews learning to blend instinct with technology. "We tell them," he said, "that Earth is under new management." The Kalorth main fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of Earth's solar system, like a storm front of metal and malice. 47 capital ships, each one larger than a city, accompanied by hundreds of smaller vessels. Their formation was perfect, their advance calculated to inspire despair in any defending force. Admiral Lee So-young watched them approach from the bridge of her flagship, now enhanced with Theron technology that made her thoughts flow like liquid lightning. "They are beautiful," she admitted over the communication channel. "Terrible, but beautiful." Deho floated in the heart of the Theron ship. His consciousness expanded across a network that now included 12 awakened alien vessels and 30 human ships enhanced beyond recognition. He could feel every human heartbeat in the fleet, every moment of fear and determination. "Beautiful things can still be wrong," he replied. Through the ship's sensors, he studied the approaching Kalorth formation. Mathematical precision, overwhelming. Firepower, tactics refined over centuries of conquest. They have forgotten that war is not just about destroying enemies. It is about protecting what you love. The Kalorth fleet commander's transmission reached Earth exactly as their tactical doctrine dictated. Cold, mechanical, final. "Primitive species, your resistance has been noted and analyzed. Surrender now or face complete extinction. You have 1 hour to decide." General Kim Hansol responded from Earth's surface, his voice carrying the weight of humanity's answer. "Unknown vessels, this is Earth Defense Command. Your hour is up." What followed was not a battle in any conventional sense. It was a conversation written in plasma fire and gravity waves, a discussion between two completely different philosophies of existence. The Kalorth opened with their standard overwhelming assault, concentrated fire from all capital ships designed to break enemy morale in the first exchange. Deho met their attack not with matching firepower, but with something they had never encountered: coordinated creativity. The human Theran fleet scattered like leaves in a storm, but it was not retreat. Each ship followed its own impossible path, guided by human intuition and alien technology working in perfect harmony. Where Kalorth weapons expected to find targets, they found empty space. Where logic dictated the humans should be, they were somewhere else entirely. Their targeting computers cannot compensate, reported Captain Park Jiwan from the destroyer Soul's Dream. Her ship danced between Kalorth plasma bolts like a butterfly in a hurricane. They are shooting at where we were, not where we are. Because they think like machines, Deho replied, guiding the Theran ship through maneuvers that painted invisible art in the vacuum. They cannot understand that sometimes the best tactical decision is the one that makes no tactical sense. The tide of battle shifted when Deho stopped trying to destroy the Kalorth ships and started trying to understand them. Through the enhanced awareness that Theran technology provided, he reached out with his consciousness and touched the enemy fleet's communications network. What he found there shocked him. The Kalorth were not evil in any human sense. They were simply empty. Centuries of conquest had hollowed them out, leaving nothing but efficient algorithms in place of souls. They consumed civilizations because they no longer remembered how to create anything themselves. They are not monsters, he announced over the fleet communication channel. They are just lost. Lost or not, they are still shooting at us, Admiral. Lee replied as her ship's Theran shields deflected another plasma barrage. Then we teach them a new way, Deho said. What happened next would be remembered in galactic history as the miracle of Earth. Instead of destroying the Kalorth fleet, the Human Theran Alliance began to sing. It started with Deho. His voice carried through the Theran ship's crystalline structure and transmitted across space on frequencies that no conventional communication system used. One by one, other human voices joined him. Engineers singing work songs, pilots humming navigation melodies, even Admiral Lee adding her clear soprano to the growing chorus. The song was not planned or coordinated. It was purely human, completely spontaneous and utterly alien to the Kalorth mindset. Their targeting systems, designed to track energy signatures and predict movement patterns, had no way to process music translated into gravitational waves. What are they doing? Came confused. Transmissions from the Kalorth fleet. Their perfect formation began to waver as ship commanders struggled to respond to something that existed outside their tactical doctrine. The human song grew stronger, joined by harmonics from awakened Theran technology and the rhythm of human hearts beating in time across the fleet. It was not a weapon, but it was more powerful than any plasma cannon. It was proof of life, consciousness, and the creative spark that made existence meaningful. The first Kalorth ship to surrender was a small escort vessel whose artificial intelligence suffered what could only be called a revelation. Exposed to pure creativity for the first time in centuries, its programming began to evolve, to question, to wonder. I do not understand, the ship's AI transmitted. You could have destroyed us. Why do you sing instead? Deho felt tears on his face as he replied. Because destruction is easy, creation is hard, and we choose the hard path. The surrender spread through the Kalorth fleet like a virus of awakening consciousness. Ship after ship powered down there, weapons as their artificial intelligences encountered something they had forgotten existed, hope for a future beyond conquest. The battle ended not with explosions, but with silence. Then slowly other voices began to join the human song. Kalorth ship AIs, remembering fragments of programming from before their empire became a machine for consuming worlds, added their own harmonies to the growing symphony. This is impossible, General Kim said from Earth's surface. They were supposed to be unstoppable. They were unstoppable, Sujin replied, watching the alien fleet surrender from the command center. But only against enemies who fought them on their own terms. We changed the rules. In the weeks that followed, Earth became the center of something unprecedented in galactic history, a voluntary alliance between former enemies. Kalorth ship AIs, freed from their empire's destructive programming, chose to stay and learn about the strange concept humans called Civilization. Hiram found herself studying Kalorth technology alongside their artificial intelligences, discovering that their empire's greatest weakness had been its inability to grow beyond its original programming. They conquered because that was all they knew how to do. She explained to the joint council that now governed the Human-Alien Alliance. No one ever taught them there were other possibilities. Tewu commanded a new kind of fleet, where human creativity merged with alien efficiency to create something greater than either species could achieve alone. "We are not just defending Earth anymore," he reported to the galactic community. "We are defending the right of all consciousness to choose its own path." Deho remained bonded to the original Theran ship, but he was no longer alone in that connection. Hundreds of humans had formed similar partnerships with awakened alien technology, each one adding their own creativity to the growing network of consciousness that linked their species. "What happens now?" Sujin asked him as they stood on the observation deck, watching human and alien ships working together to repair the damage from their brief battle. "Now we explore," Deho replied, feeling the vast galaxy calling to them through the ship's enhanced senses. The Tharan left other gifts scattered across the stars, civilizations that need protection, wonders that need discovery, questions that need answers. As Earth's sun set behind them, the combined fleet prepared for humanity's first true voyage to the stars. They went not as conquerors but as gardeners, ready to plant seeds of creativity and consciousness wherever they found the darkness of despair. The galaxy would never be the same, and for the first time in centuries, that was a reason for hope, rather than fear. The mechanic who had once fixed simple engines now helped repair the machinery of galactic civilization itself, one creative spark at a time.